Welcome to the RAMcast, where we talk about all things related to Sioux Valley. This is your host, Brian Kirby, and co-host Jimmy Sickler.
Happy to be here, Mr. Kirby.
All right. Once again this year, we are doing teacher spotlights, and today we have Miss Mariah Smith.
How's it going?
Good. All right. And without further ado, we're going to get this show rolling. All right. Hello, Miss Mariah. Why don't you tell us the name of your high school, the town, state it was in, and what the mascot was?
I went to High Tech High School in San Diego, California, and my mascot was a ram, but not the animal. It was a computer ram.
Oh, I like it. Nice.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to get a look that up.
I like it.
All right. So, what song, band, TV show, movie, or hobby have you been listening to, watching for fun?
Okay. What's
So, like music or TV show or something you've been doing for fun, like to pass the time, not necessarily like whatever the next couple questions are about what you do for fun.
okay? So
Entertainment.
Entertainment. I listen to a lot of music, kind of all genres included. But recently, I've been listening to a lot of an artist named Ruby Waters, and then one of my favorites is an artist named Petey. So, kind of have those on repeat a lot recently. And I'm all about the Great British Baking Show. So I have been anxiously awaiting each episode on Fridays to come out.
Great.
Very nice.
All right. Which teacher had the most impact on you, and what will you remember about them?
I had a high school humanities teacher named Courtney Golub, and she was a really amazing person and created some really amazing projects for our class. And a lot of hands-on, community-based projects involving Sudanese refugees and performance poetry and all sorts of things. It was a really well-rounded class, and she was a really engaging teacher, and she was really engaged in our lives. She actually sent out a Facebook, we're friends on Facebook now, a Facebook message calling on all former students to touch base and let her know where we're at. And so we got to reconnect actually in the last few years. And she was really excited to hear that I had become a teacher myself.
That's awesome.
Yes, very cool. So when you were in school, what was your favorite extracurricular activity?
So my school did not have a whole lot of traditional extracurriculars, as may be evident from our untraditional mascots. We didn't have any sports. We did have a robotics club and some other things like that, but I wasn't really involved with that. So I had to kind of seek out extracurriculars outside of school. And I was really into indoor rock climbing and also martial arts in high school. So I found different places that would have classes for those things.
Sounds fun. Fun. So what does Miss Mariah do for fun outside of school?
I have a pretty boring life. I think I was talking to some of my students in my AP computer science class the other day about what I do for fun. And they're like, wow, your life sounds really boring. You're really old. I'm like, I kind of am. I do a lot before school. I like to get up early and have a full day before I come into work. So after school, I'm usually pretty tired and like to just eat and hang out with my dogs. On the weekends, though, I like to get out skiing in the wintertime, hiking in the summer. And try and get outside as much as I can. But certainly during the school week, I'm in bed by 7:30, dinner at 5, and just lounging on the couch with the dogs.
Wow, get her an AARP card.
I'm definitely a morning person as well, for sure.
I am not. You people are strange. All right, what class when you were in school did you find the most enjoyable?
Well, certainly the teacher who I spoke about earlier, Courtney Golub, her class was pretty amazing. But the cool thing about my high school was that the whole design of the school was really engaging and interesting. So all of the classes were taught in an interdisciplinary model. So all the teachers worked together to design curriculums that bled into each subject. So there was like a continuity to everything. So what we learned in humanities translated to science, translated to math, and we would have big exhibitions at the end of quarters about some of those topics. But I think overall it would have had to have been that humanities class, just because it brought together so many different subjects, not just didn't really feel so clearly defined as a lot of other classes do.
That's kind of what I thought humanities was like when I took it in college for the first time. I was trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah. It's a little vague. It's kind of like a little bit of everything. And especially cool when you're connecting it to math and science as well. So you really see the interconnectedness of everything that you're learning in school.
All right. Well, I have an idea where this next answer might go, but I'm going to ask it anyhow.
Okay.
With whom did you have your most meaningful relationship with during your years as a student? Now, it doesn't have to be a teacher. It could be anybody. It could be a counselor. It could be janitor. You know, it could be whoever.
But from a teacher standpoint, like as a staff member,
I think I would say within the school, somewhat in the school. I would say probably that way.
Okay. So it's actually we did in that class with Courtney. We also called all of our teachers by their first names. It was really that was a vibe. So in that class, we did a spoken word poetry unit. And she brought in a senior student at the school who was performing spoken word poetry in the community. And they kind of helped co-teach that lesson with her as like a teacher's aide. And I ended up really falling in love with spoken word poetry and building a connection with this teacher's aide, who I think she was a senior or a junior at the time. And then we ended up going and getting coffee after school and writing poetry, and then just started going with them to all these open mics all around San Diego and performing poetry. And that like changed the whole trajectory of my high school career at that point. And still am in contact with that friend today. And so like when I think about high school, I think about that particular connection with, even though they were another student, I met them in the context of more of a co-teacher with Courtney.
Interesting.
Nice. I thought that story was going to lead us to that Mr. Kenny was the teacher's aide with the spoken word poetry. But
oh yeah.
All right. So what is something you have learned about yourself since you started working with kids as a teacher?
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm learning things every day. Definitely have more patience than I thought that I did. I feel like I learn a lot of patience, not only with students, but with myself also. And a lot of internal reflection has to happen at the end of every day, where I'm kind of just constantly thinking, well, what did I do differently today that didn't work? Or it's a lot of internal kind of, what is it that I'm trying to say exactly? A lot of self-reflection, a lot of growth mindset, I guess, which is a little like cheesy, but at the same time, I mean, it's an important concept because it is a meaningful concept.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, definitely how to be patient with myself and with the students as I'm still so new at this, so I feel like there's always things I'm learning that work and don't work, and constantly gotta roll with the punches.
I think it's definitely an important skill for sure, the patience life. So, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self, either entering high school or leaving high school for post-secondary?
I think that when you're in high school, it feels like that's the whole world and that everything is so consequential, and everything can feel so catastrophic or extreme or so important and hold so much weight in your life. And I feel like you feel so old, you feel so mature, you feel so like you got it all figured out. And I think if I could tell myself something, it would be just like not to sweat it. That it's just a time in your life that is so it's important building block, and it can shape a lot of who you are and build some really meaningful experiences, and you can build some really meaningful connections. But a lot of that goes away, especially for me leaving where I grew up.
Right.
I maybe am in contact with one person that I knew in high school, and that's that TA for that class. And otherwise, all those things, they help shape me into the person I am, but they don't hold the weight that I thought that they would in the long term. Those experiences, for me, really came in my undergrad, but not to say that they're not important, that those experiences aren't to be valued, but they're not to be catastrophized, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. I mean, I grew up in Palmer, and heavy in the athletics of multiple and lots of friends, and I think there's 2 or 3 that I talk to today, and I'm not that far away from where I grew up, so definitely would agree with that.
Good. What is one of the most memorable moments you've had with your students?
Most memorable moments with my students. Oh gosh, there's just so many. Well, some of the students I've had for since they were 5 when I started working at the elementary school.
Yeah.
Have known some of them for a really long time. So it's hard to kind of even pinpoint memorable
moment.
experience. Yeah.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I do some informal polls in my classes, and Miss Mariah Smith always is at the very top of the list of teachers that have a positive impact on students at our schools. So I was going to say that at the beginning, but always at the top. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome
You are
to
having
hear.
a positive impact on our kids for sure.
Yes.
Well, they make it pretty easy. That's something that I really enjoy. Just to side topic for a second, sorry, about being up at the, people ask me, since I was at the elementary school for 7 years, being up here now, how I feel. And I think the biggest thing for me is the connections that you can build with the students at this age level.
Yes.
They're not more meaningful, but they're meaningful in a different way, where you can, like, I have kind of a very particular type of sense of humor, and I feel like I can goof off with the kids here in a way that is fun for me, where the littler kids might not quite get what I'm trying to get across there. And then also it feels like, these kids might remember you for a little bit longer. You might have a bigger impact. One that they at least, could be sitting in an interview, some odd years later after they graduate from high school, still remembering a teacher's name,
Right.
But I guess I really enjoyed my first year teaching here. I had an ecology class, and we got to spend a lot of time outside. And one of the projects that we made was a terrarium, which was actually a suggestion from one of the students in the class. And I thought it was just really fun to go out there with the kids and just get like in the dirt, looking at all these different plants and learning about them and really connecting with it in a different way. And I thought it was a fun thing because, one, it was like a project that they were excited about and that they wanted to do. And one of the students who no longer goes to Sioux Valley, she graduated last year, the year before, messaged me saying that she still has her terrarium and it's still growing and has flowers every year. And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So I think that if I could think of one thing in particular, I guess it would be that project. At this point, I mean, all the time we have fun days in class and silly times, but that was kind of a meaningful one.
Yeah, just like yesterday when we were singing to you in class. I remember that was fun times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lots of, I almost got away with no singing. And then Mr. Kirby would come in, my birthday was yesterday, and remind the class that it was time to sing.
Jimmy knows nothing about that.
No, I do not like that.
All right. Hey, so kind of on that topic, since being a teacher, what's one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to you in front of students? Could also be I know you're coach, so it could be part of your coaching life or whatever.
I embarrass myself all the time. Actually, just like it's like a regular thing. I think it's more strange if I go through a day without doing something embarrassing. I like misspell words. I trip. I lose track of my thoughts. Like I have I don't know. I feel like the kids are constantly laughing at me, and I'm laughing at myself too. So I guess I'm not really actually embarrassed by it because I think it's just like so much a part of my personality. But yeah, daily basis, just always making a fool out of myself.
That
Nice.
could be why she rates so high. Is just so
Yeah.
vulnerable
Entertainment
out
value.
there.
Yeah.
Yep, you got it.
All right. So our last day of school is May 23rd, 2025. What are you going to be doing after that?
Immediately after,
summer
or
fun. Yeah.
Well, actually in the process of planning, so I usually work in the summertime, but this year I'm not, because I'm going to be spending the month of July in Switzerland and Italy, which I've
Wow.
never been before.
Nice.
But I have the opportunity to go this year and have some people to stay with over there and some fun travel plans. So getting really excited planning that trip. So then the rest of the summer will be mostly just trying to pinch pennies to be prepared
Right.
for that.
Yep.
Nice. Sounds fun.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. One last question. So anything else you want to add that we didn't cover or talk about?
Not off the top of my head, but if any
right.
students ever want to ask anything, I'm pretty open to sharing my thoughts about things. If they ever want to hear more about my experiences in high school or anything like that.
Especially at RAMtech, with home of the RAM hardware.
Yes. Random
So-
access memory.
Yep. I like it. I like that mascot, by the way. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh
Your
my gosh.
mascot.
There's a whole story behind that too. I could talk way more about that.
All right. Well, maybe a different day.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, this is going to conclude our special edition today. Well, again, this is Mr. Kirby, principal here at Sioux Valley, and my co-host, as always, has been Jimmy.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And I want to thank Miss Mariah Smith as our special guest this week.
Thank you for having me come on and talk.
Yeah, it was super fun. And once again, I hope everybody's enjoyed this podcast. And it's another way to connect with our Sioux Valley community. Hope to see you at the next school event or around in the community. Thanks for listening.